Bex Bug Out Survivor. I'm Bex, this is Bex Bug Out Survivor. And a little while ago we looked at some cook pots that suit the type of cooking you're doing. So I am looking for just one item from the cook kit collection, not easy to say, and seeing if I can do multifaceted ways of cooking, such as rehydrating dehydrated foods, rehydrating freeze-dried foods, right through to getting a can from a supermarket, emptying it out. I'm looking for something that can do a fry up. I'm looking for something that can do boil in the bag. It's a tall order. So I brought with me my bag with the pot I think is going to be a good all-rounder, and some different types of food that just one pot has to make. So let's have a look in here. I want a pot that has the capability of rehydrating a dehydrated meals. One of them little cheap dehydrators, vac sealed bag, makes the food a lot lighter. For that, usually a titanium pot is plenty enough to bring that to a boil. Pour the boiled water over the content and let it rehydrate for a few minutes. So that is dehydrated food. Another source of cooking is boil in the bag, where I can put the content, including the packaging, into a pot of water. This is why the jet boil is so good, because it's quite a tall pot and it's been designed to accommodate ration pack food. This is the ration pack from the British Army Orps, operational ration pack food. So that is why there are different pots for different types of cooking. But can I find one pot to do them all? Another type of cooking is something like this, which is pasta, and into the pasta I can put some jerky like that. And what else have I got? I should have a soup to flavour that up with. That is one of my lunches. That's okay, pretty small, pretty light. Can't do that in the titanium pot though. Why? Because the titanium scorches the bottom of the pan. I would need a stainless steel cup. It doesn't need to be any bigger than 500 ml to do that. What else have I got here? More ration pack food. Again, it needs to be submersed in water, so small pots, no good for that. Some porridge oats, I think we'll try that, maybe. And a good old traditional fry up. And in here I have 2 eggs in my little pot there, and I could put as many eggs as I want. I think I'll fry eggs, but there's no reason I can't do all this different type of cooking, including rehydration, frying, boil in the bag, and the food we're in direct contact to the pot, and the food that is not in direct contact with the pot. So a big variety there to choose from. I'm not sure whether we'll do the porridge or the eggs, probably the eggs. And I got 3-in-1 coffee for myself there. Eggs there, so there's lunch. A couple of eggs, I could do an omelette, scrambled eggs, I could add cheese, I could add whatever I want to it, but I haven't bought that out because it's just quick show and tell. Now sure, a pot just for rehydration of either freeze dried or dehydrated is going to be smaller and lighter than I'm going to show you now, but it's not an all-rounder. I just want one pot to do it all. So why would I want one pot and not just dedicate a style to my cooking and then choose the pot from that? I'll tell you now. I could dedicate a style to my cooking. I could go all ration packs, which means I'm bringing all ration pack food. So if I'm out for 2-3 nights, I'm going to want 3 lunches, 3 breakfasts, 3 evening meal. If I want to go lighter, I could do it with stainless steel and do pastas and things like that. But what if I'm out camping and my food is run out because I want to stay an extra day or 2, but there's a shop nearby? Now, I may have bought the wrong pot if all I want to do is grab a tin of curry or do some pasta. That's always available in the shop. But I'm kind of reliant on the pot I've got rather than this, which I'm hoping will do everything. So in essence, whatever style of cooking I'm doing, there's going to be a pot for it, just the one. So my pot needs to be a water boiler. It needs to be able to fry and have the ability to have the food in direct contact. And in here, this is what I've been testing with good success actually. I've changed the stove, that's the only difference I made to this. So let's have a look at what I think is going to be an all-rounder to cook everything. Albeit there are going to be drawbacks like volume and weight. Now if you take out those concessions, volume and weight, and you can strip weight back in your pack somewhere else by not bringing unnecessaries, you can accommodate that because it is pretty small. It is the Jetboil skillet pan. Comes with a little egg turner there on the handle. I've gone with the cat wicking stove for this setup, and I've got some liquid alcohol. Now I could go gas with this or a different type, but I think I'll stick to that. My cat wicking stove, and I built a simmer ring for it here as well, which just sits over that. All that sits in my snuffer tin, and at the time of filming this there is a rationing with oil, cooking oil, so I don't really want to be bringing a really big pot or even a small pot of cooking oil, and it can be wasteful as well doing it, just pouring some into a pan. So I've got something that is going to be hopefully very beneficial. So there's the skillet pan, and here is my cooking oil. It's a Ziploc bag with a tissue in it, and I've lightly poured cooking oil all over the kitchen towel. Little airtight bag, and that is really greasy. All I have to do is wipe the pan. Now I can prevent it from sticking. When I'm finished, I get my oily bag, wrap that up and make sure it's sealed at the top. So even if you're not a prepper, something like that at home can save you litres of oil if you're only frying. I'm going to get a flame under that and get my eggs on. Now when this comes to heat, I'm going to add a couple of eggs and just have, I think, just a couple of fried eggs, which keep in a little tub like that. These haven't been split, so I have the yolks. If you don't want the yolks, you can whisk it up and there's your omelette mix. Great way to carry eggs into camp with you, which we've covered this on a different tips video. So I don't understand why people bring their eggs in the cardboard container and then they try and wrap things around their eggs so they don't break them already, and then you don't even have to bring the shells with you either. And I'm going to put my simmer ring on that and simmer the eggs. Now, I wished I'd have bought some wash liquid with me to degrease the pan, but if I keep washing with water and a cloth, it will clean up. And when it's all dry, I'm going to get a brew on. Now this becomes just a water boiler, and having the ability to boil the water, that said, allows the ability to do a lot of other different types of cooking. I really wanted to show you the porridge oats, but like I said, I had eggs instead. So this can do my breakfast, my lunch, my evening meal, and we'll see if it can do hot drinks as well. And I don't even think I bought a cup. I haven't got a drinks cup, but I'm going to make it anyway. So I'm going to measure myself some water out using the increments here. So I have just under 24 ounces, around 700 millilitres. Let's see how much I want. Let's do 100, 200 mil. Enough for a coffee. A bit more in that. So I always like to have enough fuel for the whole weekend, cooking around 5-6 times a day, and that is plenty for 4 or 5 days out. I have a lighter on my keychain. But the windshield alone will speed up the boiling process. I know a lot of people say lids wilt. So I went out and did a video a year or so ago, and with 2 identical setups we ran the same amount of water with the lid on and one with the lid off, and I just wanted to either dispel a myth or prove a point. And if you want to know what the results were, lid on, lid off, then I'll put the link to that video in the description below and you can watch it for yourself. It was a good fun day out. I enjoyed filming that. I've got steam already developing, and another theory of mine is a wide pot will boil quicker than a tall pot, and that's another test that I want to try out because I've got it in my head. A wide pot that is shallow of water will boil quicker than a taller pot which is narrow with the same amount of water, and that's going to be a tricky one because the components are going to have to be the same. So I'll use anodized coated aluminium in both applications for that experiment, but all I'm doing is getting the brew on. Now that is actually plenty boiled, and I'm only making a coffee, so I'll pour the coffee content into the water, take it off the flame, add my coffee mix, stir that in and let that burn out, or I'll snuff the flame out and see if I can save some fuel from that. So where's my snuffer? Here's the snuffer. So it's made my coffee as well, and quite quickly as well. Wished I did have a lid and then bits wouldn't get in it. I could fashion a lid for that to prevent the debris going in and me having to take it out of my coffee. Oh, a bit hot. It's good coffee. It's good coffee. But obviously a little folding cup in the pack I know is needed, but I've gone and left it in a different setup, a different pack. So I've got to remember to put a spare cup in there. I think this is a doable thing. It's done a fry up, it can boil, I can do a rehydrated, a dehydrated, a freeze dried, porridge oats, pastas, steak, a fry up. I haven't got a problem. There's the fuel expelled from that. I can pick that up obviously pretty quick from my little cat wicking stove and put that away in its bag. So now I'm convinced that the little skillet pan there by Jetboil can be a good all-round cooking vessel. Now if you only ever do dehydrated meals and you don't plan on your camp overrunning, then sure, bring yourself a little titanium pot. And we looked at the titanium pot a few weeks ago, or a couple of weeks ago, and we looked at what food goes with what pot, because I'm sick of everyone saying, why have you got the Jetboil when I've got a titanium 500ml and a tiny bottle of spirits to burn it. And I had to make a video to show the reason why. The reason why I have the Jetboil is to do ration pack cooking, and I can make a coffee with it as well because it comes with a coffee press, and I just happen to have hundreds of army ration meals left over. So I kept my Jetboil. Actually, my missus bought me a replacement for the first one I had in 2001. I think that's when they first came out, and that used to live in a webbing pouch on my webbing. A lot of lads in the forces also used the MSR rocket, I think it was called, pocket rocket. And there was two schools of thought with the lads in the British Army, whether you should use the MSR or the Jetboil. I think the Jetboil won out, and is still being made today, albeit the regulator design has changed. Now the old one, 2001, was a very small little regulator. The upgraded version, the regulator is bigger, and I can't say better, it seems to perform the same. Doesn't simmer amazingly well. For that you would need the Jetboil Sumo or something like the Jetboil Mini Mo, which I have, and I've done a video of that. If you like a bit of real cooking, now I do like a bit of real cooking. I tend to bring a pot and a pan if I'm only camping, so I'm not talking trekking, I'm not talking 20-30 miles a day for a fortnight, I'm talking 6-7 miles at most per day with camp gear in a pack on my back. So not for trekking, where the emphasis is on putting down the miles with the lightest pot kit. And I've done a video of small, lightweight, long distance trekking cook pots and systems. So I've done that video. I've done videos on military style cooking done videos on the long distance trekking cooking, I've done videos on the weekend camper cooking, and each one of them has a different pot, a different stove, because you're doing a different style of cooking. This is the only one in my collection that can do it all. The penalty is it's a little heavier than a titanium setup, but if you've got a titanium setup, you probably won't be frying a steak in your cup, as we discussed before, and you won't be making a cheese omelette with all the ingredients inside your little 500 or 750ml titanium cup. It can't be done, which is why I wanted one pot to cover it all. So I did think I put a little folder cup in this pack, and obviously I hadn't. I'll readdress that issue when I get home. I took it out and I don't know why. So no, I wouldn't usually be drinking out of a fry pan, but it cleaned up nice. No oily taste either. It's just a coffee. So there is going to be a cook pot for your style of cooking. There is going to be a stove for your style of cooking. And as I explained, jet boils that I use are for ration pack cooking. And as I said before, a lot of crybabies in the comments, why are you using that when I've got a little one and mine's better than yours? Pathetic, absolutely pathetic, because I haven't got the brains to work out that I am not doing the same style of cooking. With this, I could stop off at a shop now and get myself a tin of curry and some rice. There's tonight's dinner. I could get my eggs and make an omelette. There's lunch. I could put water in that, boil it up, and do my rolled oats porridge. There's not a lot it won't do. There's the extent of the clean-up. My little cleaning rag here is very absorbent, so I just hang that at the end of my hammock, and every time I just wipe my pot down. No scorching on the back of the pot, as you can see. No burn on the inside. So I got my cat stove. Runs on any liquid alcohol, methylated spirits, whatever you want. Fits nicely so it doesn't exceed the height of the pot I'm using to cook with. Now, I love putting my cook set in the side pocket of my pack, but I'm not going to get away with it. So instead, this would sit just on top of my pack. Let me seal this up. So I do have to stop off, take my pack off, open the pack to get a cook system out, as where usually I love all my cook systems in the side pockets. Rations on one side, fuel, stove and pot in the other. And then if I do have to stop off at a shop, if my camp overruns or I've run dry on rations, I can do it very quickly. With this, it's pretty thin. Very thin. That could just sit on top of my pack like that. The only thing that is a downside for this, a con to all its pros, is its weight. And the content here is the skillet pan itself and the cat wicking stove. I haven't got the egg turn in here or the spork, but it'll give you an indication to whether that is something doable for you. Aim to be a minimalist where you can, and that can be gleaned through experience. You'll know, I don't really need that, I don't really need this. Do I need this? No, I could just go with a titanium cup and do all my cooking like that, but I'm stuck with only being able to cook in one particular style. This can cover multiple styles of cooking, so this is a winner for me. I can put that in my pack, take my hammock down, have my breakfast, had a quick slurp, albeit in a very big cup, so it even doubles up as a cup. Okay, now I know it's not going to be for everyone, the idea, the concept, but that's all it is, an idea, a concept. You can take from it what you want or take away nothing. The choice is yours. Now, you could try the idea and dislike it. You could try the idea and run with it. And that's what I'm doing. I'm running with this idea. I like it a lot. It just covers everything for me. The penalty is the weight is going to be a tiny bit heavier than your traditional pot, although I think the jet boil itself, the flash, I think that's somewhere around a kilo. So that is me done. I'm happy with that. Next week we shall run another experiment. I'll film it and we'll see the results from that. So before anyone gets bent out of shape in the comments complaining they don't like the idea, well, don't do it then. You know, I can't possibly see into the camera lens and know what kit you've got, and I'm not talking just to one person who lives in there. I have to address many people, and a small percentage of those people might think this is for them. There might be a small percentage you just don't want to know and are happy carrying on the way they're going, which is absolutely fine, but it's not a one-size-fits-all world. We kind of have to adapt and overcome to situations and problems, and a problem I have had is I fancied staying on a couple more days and the food had run out and I've got an inadequate pot. But this, given its pros and cons, is a decision only you can make now. So until next time, take care of yourself and I'll see you out there. Happy trails.